about the transportation in plants. Transportation in plants is somewhat different than that of the transportation in animals. In animals, we have learned about circulation. Transportation in plants is totally dependent upon the type of tissue that they are having, that is the xylem and phloem tissues. Also, the requirement of plant is very different than that of the animal tissue. Structurally, they are very different organisms. So coming to the point, there are two types of tissue which are called vascular tissue. One is very much evolved to conduct the water called a xylem that you can see in the figure in a blue line going from base to upward of the plant. Similarly, the grain lines which are coming from leaves to the bottom of the plant toward the root, these are the phloem elements. So transportation of the substances in plants are taking place by means of two different channels. One is the xylem channel, other is the phloem channel. Xylem channel help in the conduction of water from soil to the top of the plant, whereas the conduction of food, that is from leaf of the plant to the other parts of the plant, is taking place by means of the phloem element. Not only the water and the food is being transported by them, they are also, particularly the phloem, help in the transport of hormones, phytohormones, whereas minerals are being transported by xylem elements. So in upcoming slides we are going to learn it in a detailed manner, in the way so that we can understand the mechanism of their transfer of substances in a detail. First, we shall begin with the transportation of water in the plant. Let us see the diagram here. This is the root part of the plant given in the sectional view. Anatomical feature is there. This is the anatomical feature of the leaf part of the plant, and this is the schematic diagram of a tree. This is the root part, this is the stem part, these are the branches represented by the leaves, and this is the apical bud. Here is the line of flow of water and minerals. So just focus at this part of the plant, that is the root part of the plant. If we talk about the transportation of water, it can be divided into two parts. First part is the absorption of water, and second part is the conduction of water. So let us begin with the absorption of water. Absorption of water in the plant is a bit very interesting, because the transfer of water from soil to the xylem of the root is not taking place automatically. This flow of water has been made by these root hair cells. They are actively taking ions from the soil and making the underlying cells hypertonic. Once the cells become hypertonic, the water rushes into it. But once the water comes inside, it takes two pathways for reaching to the xylem element. First, through the cytoplasm via plasmodesmata, and second is away from the cytoplasm along the line of the cell wall in between the intercellular spaces, that is the apoplastic pathway. So if water is coming through the plasmodesmata, they are called a symplastic pathway. If not through the symplastic pathway, it will come along the line of the cell wall. This is apoplastic pathway. So whatsoever the way may be, they are finally reaching up to the xylem element. This xylem element is connected with the xylem element of stem and the branches of the plant. So we have learned about the absorption of water. Again, I am repeating, this is the root hairs which are actively involved in the process of active transport of ions. They are taking ions from soil to inside so that the inside environment could be hypertonic. Once the environment becomes hypertonic, water rushes inside but goes to the xylem element by two different ways, either apoplastic way, this way is the apoplastic way, and to the symplastic way. Finally, they are reaching to the xylem element. These xylem elements are continuous with the xylem elements of stem and other branches up to the leaf. Now, what happens in the second part? This is the leaf area. We know the structure of the leaf. This is the epidermis of leaf. In between the epidermis, this is the mesophyll area having long elongated cell, palisade cells, then the spongy cells, then the vascular tissues. Epidermis having many tiny pores called as stomata. So these stomata remains open during the daytime and they lose water in the form of the vapor by a process called as transpiration. So transpiration of the water causes huge deficiency of water inside the mesophyll area. So this deficiency of water is being finally mitigated by the xylem element of midrib. So water stress is being caused in the xylem element of the midrib, and we know this xylem element is in continuation with the xylem element of the stem, and finally stem xylem element is connected with the root. So finally a pool will be created due to the transpiration. To compensate the deficiency in the water concentration here, water will be pulled by the channels. So this is known as the transpirational pool. This is known as transpirational pool. So transpirational pool help in the uptaking of water from base to the top of the plant. So two parts are very much clear about the absorption of water. First part is the absorption of water, and second part is the conduction of water. So absorption of water is highly specialized because it is taking energy for the exchange of ions from between the cell of root, that is the root hair cells, and the soil, and they forces water to come inside by making a condition of osmotic differences outside to inside up to the xylem element. From the xylem element, water is being stored in the xylem element, but it required to be taken up. So taken up against the gravity requires to have a lot of forces upside. So a force of pull, or you may say suction, is being generated due to the deficiency of water in the leaf area. That deficiency is being compensated by the xylem element of the leaf area, which remains in contact with the xylem element of other parts of the plant. So finally a cumulative force, many forces, because there are so many branches and leaves are there, they will affect a they will result actually into the cumulative forces of pull that will drag the water from here to here. This is called the transpirational pull. This is the reason how the water is being conducted in the plants. So two parts are there. First is the absorption of the water, and second part is the conduction of water along the xylem element. So a bit of more information is there in the next slide. Conduction of water through the water column requires a great force. Therefore, further it has been explained by the cause and consequences of transpiration. So we have learnt about in the previous slide. So one thing very important about that, the transpirational theory was given by Dickson and Joly in the year 1894. So transpiration help in the conduction of water, that we know, and apart from that, they help in this way the water also carries the minerals to different parts of the cells of plant, and it also helps in the regulation of the temperature, that provides the cooling effect to the plant during the summer and tropical conditions. So this is the function of transpiration toward the plant. Transpiration is not only the only source for the transfer of water, conduction of water in the plant. There are certain plants where root pressure also works in conducting the water from soil to the other part of the plant, that we are going to learn in next slide. So absorption water by root pressure theory. This theory was first proposed by Priestley. Let us see the diagram here. In this diagram you can see this is the root hair, this is the epidermis, this is the cortical cell, this is the endodermis cells, and this one is the xylem. So water is rooted from outside, that is from the soil, to the xylem element by this way. So root cells are very much instrumental in pushing the water from here to here. How? What happens? These specialized root hair cells are like the other means of absorption that we have seen in the previous slide. They are taking huge amount of ions inside, becomes hypertonic, therefore resulting into the target cell. A lot of water is been accumulated inside. So these water exert pressure toward the xylem area upside. So resulting into the forcing the water content, liquid content of the other cells, and they make a column or a directed column toward the xylem. And this way the column of water is being pushed toward the xylem. So cortical cells are having a pulsation reaction. They contracts and then expand, they contracts and expand, and thereby making a flow line of water from them to the xylem element. This is called the root pressure theory. So root pressure theory is not very common to all plants. There are very limited number of plants where this uh, um, process of water conduction is taking place, like brinjal, tomato, Cynodon, Dactylon, the douglas plant. And also the root pressure theory is not workable during the daytime. It is only working during the night time. You might have experienced in such plants at early morning there are dotted structures of water found at the margin areas. They are coming out from the small passive opening called as hydrothodes. And here also the difference is that the water is not coming in the form of the vapor, rather it is coming in the form of the liquid, and it is a liquid that contains a bit of salt in it also. And this process is also called as guttation. So certain plants having different mechanism of conducting water apart from the transpiration, but different way. Here the root cell having cortical cells of the root are very specialized in osmotic concentrations. So their variable osmotic concentration making them becoming turgid and flaccid over and over again. That gives them a pulsating movement of water that pushes the water forward. You can see in this line, and they reaches to the xylem element, and once they reaches to the xylem element, they push the water column forward. And at night, after night, you can see them. They are coming out at the marginal area of the leaf. So this is called the root pressure theory, by which in certain plants water is moving. Now let us see how does the transport of food and other substances taking place in plants. So look at the diagram. You can see this is the leaf. So leaf having two epidermises. Upper epidermis is having the pellicid long elongated cells. Thereafter lower epidermis having the spongy cells. And this is the midrib area where xylem and phloem element is found. This is the enlarged view of phloem element containing the sieve tube element. So what happens for the transportation of food? Photosynthesis is taking place in the palisade area, but what is the result of the photosynthesis? Starch is the result, main product. But translocation of starch is never taking place. Instead of starch, plant is transporting the sugar. So first of all, the starch molecule are being transformed into the by means of some enzymes. They converted into the sugar molecules. Once they convert into the sugar molecules, their concentration in the palisade cells become higher than adjoining cells. So they transfer their, as their concentration is higher, so they will transfer their sugar solution to the nearby cell, particularly to the spongy cells. Here we can see where there is a higher concentration of sugar, they are being designated as source cells, and where there is a less concentration of sugar is there, they will be considered as sink cell. So we will have to remember this terminology, source and sink, that we are going to learn in the next slide also. So source and sink relation help in the transfer of sugar from one place to another. One thing more important about this transfer is that their membrane. So transfer of here sugar is taking place through the cell membrane. Their membranes are permeable for the sugar, but even if the concentration of sugar in the source cell, because they have got the sugar from the palisade cells, concentration is here higher, but they cannot transfer their sugar molecules to the sieve tube element. Why? Because their membrane is impermeable. They are resistant against the sugar molecule. They are not able to take the sugar molecules even if the concentration is higher outside. So in order to transfer sugar molecules from the spongy cells to the sieve tube, a bit of energy will be required, and with the expenditure of the energy, temporarily the change of permeability will be taking place in the membrane of the sieve tube element, and thus transfer of sugar molecule will take place from source. Here source is the spongy cell to the sink sieve tube element. So once the transfer of sugar take place inside the sieve tube element, they become sink because they are having the great concentration of sugar solution inside. We have to remember that their membrane is impermeable for sugar, and whatever permeability has been changed is just for a time being. Now it again comes to its own way, that it becomes permeable to water but non-permeable for the sugar molecule. So if the concentration inside becomes higher due to containing huge amount of sugar, what will happen? It will attract water from all around. So all at sudden the concentration of the total solution volume will increase because it have the sugar solution and more water is coming inside. So maximum volume of solution will be increasing gradually. The solution will change in its volume as sieve tube elements wall are very hard, cannot be broken by the increased pressure of the solution inside. So they will start moving, and they will move vigorously to all available vacant or open spaces to them. And this flow is known as mass flow or bulk flow. First, this theory was given by Munch, and this is also known as Munch theory. So again, I am repeating the process of flow of fluid, flow of sugar fluid in the sieve tube. What happens once the sugar is been transferred from spongy cells to the sieve tube element? Their concentration become hypertonic here. As their membrane is impermeable for sugar but permeable for water, they will absorb more water from their surrounding. So all at sudden, due to rushing of water inside the sieve tube element, they will increase the total volume of solution higher than the normal one. As the wall of the sieve tube element is tough, hard, so they cannot, this increasing pressure will not able to break their wall. So what will happen? The fluid will start flowing, and flowing in a vigorous way that will create a pressure, and with under that pressure they will be able to move each and every part of the plant. So they will rush to each and every part of the plant because it is a continuous channel of tube. Now these sieve tube elements are having the associatory cells like companion cells, parenchyma cells, and fiber cells. So as it itself becomes a sink, so it will transfer its sugar molecule to adjoining cell like parenchyma and fiber or the companion cell, and the transfer the new cells which have taken the sugar solution from the sieve tube element, they again become the sink cell for those cells who are those having not the sugar solution in them. So they will transfer their sugar solution to the nearby cells. So this process will be repeated time and again till the last cell is getting the sugar solution. So this is the mechanism how the plants are transferring their sugar solution from one place to the another place, and that relation is a relation of source and sink that we are also going to understand in a comprehensive way in the next slide. Let us see. Translocation is the process where the sugar is flowing from an area of higher concentration to lower concentration. The area of higher concentration is been designated as source, and lower concentration is known as sink via phloem channel. So let us see in the diagram. This is the xylem element, this is the sieve tube element. So what happens? Water body is moving upwardly and in a unidirectional way. So this is the flow of water that occurs under the suction pull of deficiency of water caused at the aerial parts of the plant. But we see here the sugar solution is moving downward and also on in such areas where there is a sink area is designated. Let us see, this is the sugar solution here. the sugar solution, making their environment hypertonic, so that will attract the water from nearby cells, even from the xylem elements nearby, as xylem elements are running parallel to them. So it will result in sudden increase in the volume of the solution, and sudden increase in the volume of the solution make them to flow, and they will flow in all the possible direction where they have been extended as a tube. So they will flow to all and every part of the plant. This thing is also been explained in the next diagram. Here the pressure terms has been utilized. You can see this is the suctional pressure that has been developed at the top of the plant where transpiration is taking place. Their pressure level is higher due to the loss of water in the form of the vapor. So water is being pulled from bottom to top of the plant. On the other hand, you can see again the pressure term has been generated, but not due to the suctional pressure. It is due to the molecular pressure. This is the osmotic concentration variation in the osmotic concentration of the sugar solution. You can see the increased sugar concentration attracted water from all around, that increased the volume of the water in a confined area of the tube, that made them to flow to each and every part of the plant. You can see this is the leaf area. From there the solution is flowing at the top, that is up to the apical bud, and they are also flowing toward the root cells. So the flow through the phloem is the bidirectional, upward and downward in both of the direction. It depends upon they follow the rule of source sensing. Wherever there is a less concentration of the sugar, they will flow towards them. So in both of the slides I have explained you the process of translocation in the plants. In the next slide we are going to learn about the transpiration and translocation and their major differences through the comparative chart. So this is the comparison between the transpiration and translocation. Both are the very different process, and they are taking place in two different types of tissue. You can see this is the phloem element where translocation is taking place. This is the xylem element where transpiration is taking place. In transpiration, water, mineral, iron and different ions are being conducted through the water. They are taken from the soil and they are being transported to leaves, flower and fruits. Mechanism is passive, not exactly passive. The active process is there at the root hair cells, but altogether it is a passive process. Their rate is very high during the sunny day, windy day and dry day. Whereas translocation process is the transfer of sugar and amino acids. They are formed at the leaves due to photosynthesis process. It is an active process. We have learned about the loading process, transfer of sugar from spongy cell to the phloem cells. Again, the resistance of the sugar solution at their membrane is known as loading. That's why energy has been utilized there. So it is known as the active process. This is why active is been utilized here. The rate of translocation remains high during the sunny day when the rate of photosynthesis is high, but it never stops. It takes place always. You can see the diagram here. In this diagram, the xylem vessel has been shown. There is no obstruction. So it is a complete hollow vessel through which the water is moving upwardly and in a unidirectional way. They are having some associatory cells like tracheids element. Similarly, this is the sieve tube element that makes the sieve tube. The small pore sieve is there. Here you can see the flow of the phloem. The flow of the photosynthesis is taking place both downward and upward. Also, it having the companion cells and some other associative cells like parenchyma and fiber. So this is the process by which transpiration and translocation in plants are taking place, and they are taking place by two different types of tissue in a very two different ways. The water and foods are being transported by two different channels and by mechanism also. But in lower plants where no vascular system is there, they also having the transportation of substances, but it is through cell to cell, from one cell to another cell through the means of ion exchange and osmosis. the substances from one cell to another cell is been transferred. Thank you very much for watching the video.